Perry, the outstanding rookie from Oklahoma. Very impressive last week. The veteran Glenn Weir. 10 years with the Alouettes, all of them outstanding.
Number 64.
Junior Ayew, equally experienced, 10 years, played very well last week against Ottawa. And Doug Scott in his second year, the man that made that big sack, having an outstanding start this season.
Good high punt, chases Brazeley back to his 14. Well, he did a good job getting up over the 25 to the 27-yard line, and that's where the Alouettes will start. But right now, here's Bill Stevenson.
All right, Sue Dasso, our Miss Brute survey.
Hi, Bill.
Hi. Tell us what happened out there today. How do the fans feel?
Well, they were a little bit dubious, but they still picked Montreal.
They still picked Montreal
yes,
despite the fact?
Despite everything, by 7 points.
7 points. Sue, how were the fans, though? Were they pepped up for the game? I mean, were they ready for a big one here?
They were ready. They're always ready in Montreal, that's for sure.
All right. Thank you, Sue Dasso. About 45,000 of them, they pick on the Brute fan survey, 7 points. Okay, Pat.
Thank you, Bill, from the 27-yard line. It is first down, Montreal. Ferragamo going deep. There's contact down there between Billy Johnson and Larry Highbaugh. No flag comes down. Fans would have liked to have seen a flag, but of course Highbaugh's entitled to the ground every bit as much as Johnson is.
Seems to me, if anything, it may have been offensive interference the way Johnson tried to go over top of Highbaugh. And that's what Larry Highbaugh's pointing his finger at right there.
If you've just joined us, it's a 3-0 ball game in favor of the Alouettes with 4 minutes, 20 seconds left to play in the opening quarter here at the Olympic Stadium before more than 45,000. Tried to one-hand it, did a good job getting to the ball, but he couldn't pull it down.
I'll tell you, that's the kind of play I think you're going to see the Alouettes come back with, though, Pat. Maximum protection except for Walker slipping out against the linebacker. That's what they like to isolate, the speedy back and the linebacker. Towns, of course, has great range and experience, but Walker clearly had a step and a half on him.
Jerry McGrath punting on 3rd and 10, standing inside his 15-yard line. Frietta and Hayes are back to receive. Good punt. Frietta from his 35. Out to about the 43, but excellent coverage by the Alouettes. A 48-yard punt, 7-yard return, and down quickly to make the tackle was Woodrow Wilson. And now let's see if the Eskimos can get a move on. They have been thwarted on 4 separate occasions this afternoon. The Alouettes have played well defensively, and they got a big play from cornerback Woodrow Wilson with his end zone interception. Ball is spotted at the Edmonton 43. First down, Eskimos. Over the middle for Tom Scott, but incomplete.
Very simple reason why. Good pressure once again. They had 6 receivers out, no backs kept in. Junior Ayew this time getting a lot of early pressure on Moon. He was a little unsettled and the ball got away from him.
Well, there is what has happened all time. What an edge for the Eskimos. 14-4 with 2 tie ball games.
And you know, Joe Scannella has played against the Eskimos 5 times since being with the Alouettes and has never beaten them.
2nd and 10, Eskimos. Pass is complete for the first down. Tommy Scott takes it to the Montreal 50-yard line. So with 2:54 left, it is a 3-0 score in favor of the Alouettes, and we'll be back in just a moment. Pat Marsden, Mike Wadsworth, and Bill Stevenson back at the Olympic Stadium in Montreal. It is Edmonton first down at the Montreal 50-yard line. We've got 2 minutes, 45 seconds left to play in the first quarter. In Germany, well, he grabs about 3.5 to 4 yards before he was hauled down by Glenn Weir, number 64.
Tested the middle of that Alouette line a couple of times with Germany. It's had respectable gains, but so far hasn't really hurt them.
Germany has carried 3 times for a total of 15 yards. Second and 6. The ball just outside the Montreal 45. Moon for Kelly. A good defensive play by Braisley because Kelly was in behind him.
Tell you want to see some speed, watch this. Kelly runs that post pattern into the middle, a combination on the right side. He has Braisley beaten, but watch him just turn at the last moment. Great defense by Carl Braisley.
So it brings up a 3rd and 6. The ball outside the Montreal 45. And rather than go for a Dave Cutler field goal, they send Hank Olisic back. He'll be punted. Aims it for the sideline. Puts it out of there, but it's not one of his great kicks. Let's see where it's spotted. At about the 23-yard line. Hank Olisic would like to have that one back. It only traveled 23 yards.
A few cat calls from the fans, but if I was an Alouette supporter in the Big O, I'd be pretty delighted with that turn of events. They've got good field position coming out of that.
What's happening, Bill Stevenson?
Well, what's happening is the defensive backs you've been talking about. They're sitting here together. Woodrow Wilson, first of all. Woodrow, turn around, look at the camera, and tell us about that interception.
Well, what it was, you know, we was in 40 coverage, and I just got good dropping. Now, what I'm supposed to do is read the quarterback. And I read him very well, and he threw the ball, and I just got good position on the receiver and went up and tried to catch the ball at the high corner. I was fortunate enough to do it.
Well, James Scott for a Montreal first down to the 46-yard line. Ed Jones made the tackle.
James Scott once again working against Joe Holloman on that side. Holloman, a very respected cornerback, giving him a lot of room. Scott merely came back to the ball. Holloman was left a couple of yards and had to react up to make the tackle.
Gain was 22 yards. It is first down, Montreal. The ball is outside their 45-yard line. Billy White shoots Johnson for another Montreal first down. Dan Kepley made the tackle. What a catch.
Coach Hugh Campbell used the expression one often used, threading the needle. And that's what it was right there. Mike McLeod, number 18, thought he had a chance for it, but that ball was delivered right to the mark beautifully as Johnson broke into the middle.
21 yards the gain. First down, Montreal inside the Edmonton 45. Flag comes down. Joe Holloman and James Scott came in contact. Holloman is furious, but let's see if the interference call is against him. Yes, it
appears to be, and I'll tell you, I didn't see the whole contact, but from what I saw, it would have been a difficult call. Let's see it on isolation right now. Hard to see any contact there, but the official was closer. I don't know.
Well, we know this. It's an automatic first down just inside the 35-yard line for the Alouettes, and you're seeing Ferragamo at his best right now. This is James Scott, flanker screen. And the Eskimos read it well with Ed Jones coming across to make the stop out above the 28-yard line. He'll be short by a couple of yards of a first down. Montreal 3, Edmonton nothing. We'll return with the second quarter in just a moment.
Canada, he's got a nose for the ball, and he knows how to hit. And when he gets a hold of Walker, he does not let go.
Third and a yard and a half to go for the first down. Walker gets the first down. Good gutsy call by Coach Scannella.
Boy, I'll tell you.
It's good because it worked.
That's right. He could have built a 6-point lead, but you know what, Pat? He knows that against the Edmonton Eskimos, if you get to 3rd and 1 down around that 25-yard line, you've got to make it count, and if you don't, you're going to lose the ball game. So he went for it. You're playing against a high-scoring team, and the Edmonton Eskimos, you won't be able to keep them from the board forever. You've got to make your opportunities really count.
There was the measurement for the first down. You saw that Montreal got it, and let's see what happens statistically in the first quarter. 140 yards for Montreal, 80 for the Edmonton Eskimos. Vince Ferragamo was good on 5 of 9 attempts for 138 yards.
Not bad work.
First down, Montreal inside the Edmonton 25. Skip Walker again. Kepley makes the stop at about the 19-yard line.
If it wasn't for the quickness of Kepley, he may have had a lot of yardage. Those guards, Mangold and Norton, were out in front. But Kepley, with great reaction over, limited the gain to about 6.
Skip Walker, incidentally, is replacing David Overstreet. He had quite a year himself last year, gained 692 yards for better than 6 yards a carry. He had a total of 10 touchdowns, 9 of them rushing. Ferragamo going to the end zone for James Scott. Good coverage.
I'll tell you, there was also a big rush. And Ferragamo just tried to maintain his field position. Dave Fennell down on the field. Doesn't appear to be anything but maybe a little shaken up. Back spasms kept him out of the game last week. But he's healthy, and he moved well in the practice field yesterday. And here's a look at that defense right now. Big pressure. Mike McLeod had come on the blitz from his inside safety position, and they had to waste the ball.
Well, on 3rd and 4, the Alouettes will go for the field goal try. McGrath will try this one from 27 yards out. It is good. Back-to-back field goals by Gerald McGrath, and the Alouettes are out in front 6-0. Well, that's the way we stand right now. Montreal 6, Edmonton nothing. We'll be back in just... We're back at the Olympic Stadium, and the Edmonton Eskimos, trailing 6-0, take over at their own 35-yard line, first down. Kelly with the first down reception up over the 45 to about the 47-yard line, forced out by Maurice Burton. And in case you missed last night's scores, Hamilton demolished Toronto 57-13, and the British Columbia Lions remain the only undefeated team in Canada by virtue of their 31-17 victory over the Ottawa Rough Riders. Eskimos from their 47. Offside Montreal. Keith Gary moved. Pass is complete to Marco Sincar for another first down for the Eskimos. Willie Hampton was there along with Carl Braisley. We'll check the flag, but it appeared as though Keith Gary was offside.
Gary, of course, a rookie from Oklahoma, as we look at head coach Hugh Campbell of the Eskimos. Get the call.
Penalty is declined.
You'd have to expect, Pat, that because he missed the preseason and the exhibition schedule, Gary still has to get used to the unlimited motion available in Canadian football. And I think sometimes with that motion, he's being drawn off a little bit.
First down Eskimos at the Montreal 49. Warren Moon keeps it himself. Gets about 5 yards. Pinned at that point by Dave Dumars. Actually, Moon, I think, did the wise thing. He decided to bury himself, and then Dumars just came over and covered him.
The Eskimos not sharp in the early going, but you know that the power is there, and more than that, Pat, because of the amount of experience and depth throughout the club, they have the quiet assurance that they can come back. And they certainly aren't down by much now.
2nd and 5. Moon throws throws. Good reception by Brian Kelly at the 30-yard line. Tackle was made by Maurice Burton, number 7. Burton, of course, released earlier this season by the Eskimos.
You suggested they'd work a great deal against the corners, and here they go again working against Burton, but this time instead of working to the sideline, he came back to the inside on a very important second down situation.
Gain was 13. Make it first down. Edmonton at the Montreal 30. Moon for Kelly. Touchdown.
I'll tell you what, a great catch by Brian Kelly and a fine throw, but it's awfully close to being out. He had to go up for the ball, working once again against Maurice Burton, number 7. This time bending back to the flag instead of coming into the middle. See if he comes down with 1 foot in. Boy, I'll tell you, it looked like it was on the sideline.
Well, Mike, I don't think he came down with 1 foot in, but I think it was Burton that drilled him out.
Could have been.
30 yards, the touchdown pass. Warren Moon to Brian Kelly.
I don't know. Judge for yourselves.
Angelo Santucci, the injured Edmonton Eskimo player, being attended to by the training staff. But it just goes to show you how quickly the Eskimos can strike.
Well, there's no question about it, and they have great quarterbacking in Warren Moon and Tom Wilkinson. Last week, down 32 points almost right away. In 10 minutes, that's what the Bombers did to them through a series of turnovers. But they came back and fought valiantly and almost salvaged the game as a result of a dramatic second-half comeback, and that's what they've got. Angelo Santucci now shaken up, and here's another look at it. Kelly goes high. Burton makes contact with him there. He may indeed have carried him out. Hard to say from our vantage point. The official was very close to it.
So Dave Cutler will try to give the Eskimos the lead. We're all tied right now at 6 points apiece. It is good. The Eskimos are out in front for the first time in the ball game, 7-6. Let's go to Bill Stevenson.
All right. As you know, if you want to get a war started in the CFL, start arguing about who's the best middle back here. And I mean now, Dan Kepley or Tom Cousineau. Tom, I'm not arguing. They're both great. But Tom, you're out of action and you're missing quite a ball game.
Yes, I am, and it's a shame because these are the kind of games I look forward to playing, and it's a great contest. And it looks like we're going to win this one.
Why do you think you're going to win it?
Well, we've been working real hard. We've got great personnel, and I think we're starting to put it all together finally.
What about Vince Ferragamo? Do you think he's having a little trouble adapting to Canadian football?
Of course he is. It's a lot of new things have been thrown at him. There are some basic rule differences that he's having to adjust to, but I think he's done a fine job, and he's worked very hard, and he's given us 100% all the time.
And now, how about the shoulder?
Well, I'm waiting for Mother Nature to say yes. I have a slight separation, nothing serious, and I'm hoping to be back in next week.
Thank you, Tom Cousineau.
Oh, you're all right.
Carl Brazeley and Skip Walker back to receive this kickoff from Dave Cutler. This is Walker a yard deep in his end zone. Now Walker wanted to get outside. The fans feel he was hit out of bounds, but Montreal will take over deep in their own territory inside their 20-yard line. Joe Holloman showed you good speed. And a face mask call against the Eskimos.
Tough call against the Eskimos because their coverage team did a great job.
Unnecessary roughness. Face mask. Edmonton number 28.
Gary Hayes.
First down.
He's the one that showed great speed in pursuing Walker out of bounds. It appeared as if Walker was going to get away from Prieta, but you can see there the obvious grab by Hayes.
Angelo Santucci being administered on the sidelines as the Alouettes take over at their 30-yard line, trailing by a point. Ferragamo unloads to Galariva, and everybody else was covered downfield, and they end up picking up about 8 yards. Ed Jones making the stop.
I mentioned earlier in the game, Pat, that the Eskimos generally use that 30 front 4 linebackers. They actually have not used it through the game as I've watched it progress. They've been going with that 4-man front, obviously concerned about the passing arm of Ferragamo, feeling they must be able to get pressure on him. And although that's the case, and James Parker, number 40, is the 4th down lineman, with Fennell playing at the tackle spot as opposed to nose guard position, Ferragamo's still getting pretty good time.
2nd and 3, Alouettes. This is Skip Walker. He does not get the first down. Dave Fennell had to be in there somewhere.
I think he was there everywhere. He just fills it like a cement truck.
So on 3rd and 2, the Alouettes will be punting, as Emilio Frietta and Gary Hayes drop back. There's Frietta. He can do an awful lot of things for this ball club, and does. In injury situations, he can play in their defensive secondary. He's great on special teams. Gets to the 37-yard line, no further. James Randolph was down, number 53, to make the stop. James Harold Randolph, the middle linebacker, in there replacing Tom Cousineau. As you look at Ferragamo and Della Riva on the sidelines, talking it over with Joe Scannella. The Alouettes know they're going to have to score some touchdowns. Field goals are nice. They make you respectable, but they don't win football games. 7-6. The Eskimos are out in front with 8.5 minutes left in the first half. The flag comes down as Randolph was over to make the tackle on the Edmonton quarterback, Warren Moon.
John Keogh, number 31, may have grabbed Keith Gary, number 75, the defensive end, who tried to fall off, to pick up Moon as he went around that right end. We'll get the call.
Holding, Edmonton, number 31.
Good call, my old friend. It was certainly Sean Keogh.
The University of Alberta grad, a very impressive rookie with the Eskimos, but there he is, holding on for dear life, not wanting Gary to get into the play.
In case you're not familiar with Keith Gary, who's playing his 2nd game for the Alouettes, he was the number 1 draft choice of the Pittsburgh Steelers out of the University of Oklahoma, and he looks like he's going to be a dandy. 1st and 20, Edmonton, back at their 27. And Moon is sacked at the 15-yard line by Keith Gary. In there as well, Junior Ayu, so they got both defensive ends in.
Setback was off to the left, trying to help out with Ayu, but to no avail. That 4-man front doing the job they must do if the Alouettes are to have a chance.
Ball is spotted back at the Edmonton 16-yard line, and they've got to get to their own 47 for the first down, so it's 2nd and 31. Or let's make that Tom Scott up at about the 33-yard line. Dave Dumars providing the defensive coverage. We've got Doug Scott in the lineup for the Montreal Alouettes at defensive tackle, and Tommy Scott, number 22, the great receiver for the Eskimos. And though he gained 18 yards on the play, they are still 13 away from a first down. And Hank Olisic will be punting. Very nearly blocked. This is Graisley back at his 20. And he gets up to about the 26 or 27. Emilio Frietta was there to make the tackle. We've got 7 minutes left to play in the first half. It is 7-6 Edmonton over Montreal. 6 minutes, 55 seconds left to play in the first half. Edmonton 7, Montreal 6. Alouettes with the ball at their 27-yard line, first down. Over the middle. It's complete to Chuck McMahon up at the 35-yard line. He'll have a gain of about 8. Dan Kepley was there to upend him for the Eskimos. Nailed from behind, drops the ball, and the Eskimos have recovered it. Mike, that play developed like it was in slow motion.
I'll tell you, it's most strange to me. I thought Dave Fennell might have even been offside, quite frankly, but there are no flags now. Ferragamo turning around, taking time to get set up, allowed the penetration to come. There's little doubt in my mind that Fennell was across ahead of everybody else. It's only a question whether or not he was offside or the others were slow.
James Parker was the man who stripped the Montreal quarterback of the ball.
Let's see if we can watch Fennell now, 65. It doesn't appear as if he was early. He was just quicker than everybody else.
So the Eskimos have first down at the Montreal 28-yard line. Moon for Scott. Touchdown, Edmonton. And on the play, Warren Moon was really buried by Keith Gary, but he threw the perfect strike. Scott was all alone for the major score, and the Eskimos go up by 7.
Cooley standing in under that pressure, Pat, and Steve Jelly, the man in coverage, stumbled at about the 3-yard line. Scott was well open on the play and was able to saunter in from there.
Joe Holloman, number 29, and Emilio Frietta, number 37. And the Eskimos just don't seem to get excited. They go out, score the touchdown. Now they look at each other and say, okay, it's Cutler's turn.
Well, I suppose if you're in the Grey Cup 4 years in a row and most people were playing together for 5 and 6 years, you develop a sort of assurance about what you're doing.
Well, they certainly have done that, and they may well be the greatest team in CFL history. The point after by Cutler is good. So now it's an 8-point lead for the Eskimos. They go out on top 14-6 with 5. We'll have the answer for you at halftime. I bet you if you're not of a Rough Rider fan, you probably know the answer to that. And if you're wondering the answer to the question, who's out in front here, it's Edmonton, 14-6, and they're preparing to kick off. High and deep. Braisley right at the goal line. Drops the ball. It is still loose. Montreal recovers at about, well, the 1 or 2 yard line. The wheels have come out.
I guess Joe Scannella is asking himself what more can happen.
Chuck McMahon was the savior on that one.
A big play by Woodrow Wilson at the beginning of the first quarter, intercepting in the end zone, seemed to fire up the Alouettes. 2 field goals gave them an early 6-0 lead. The Eskimos came back, led it 7-6, a fumble. They took the lead, and then that crazy turnaround.
Dan Kearns had a shot at the ball for the Eskimos. He couldn't bring it in. McMahon did. But look where they are, at their own 1 yard line. Ferragamo for Della Riva. Ed Jones got his hand up in front of the ball as the flag is down on the play.
There have been some outstanding plays in the first half, Pat, both offensively and defensively, and it's going to be difficult to find out who wins the Panasonic play of the game.
Number 44, Montreal. Second down over.
The center. But Ed Jones came up with a superlative defensive play right there. Peter De La Riva running a seam pattern in the middle. Seemed to get a perfectly delivered ball from Ferragamo, but Jones, with his speed, jumped in and was able to deflect it away.
Flag down again over the head of Araki, who was really rocked by Pete Lavorato.
That is for Nick Araki, incomplete. Also penalty.
Looks like back-to-back holding penalties against Montreal.
You know, when you play against the Eskimos, imagine getting hit like this.
Oh. It was holding against Montreal, so McGrath will be punting out of his end zone. And here the Eskimos should take over in excellent field position, probably somewhere around the 40-yard line, as McGrath is just about 15 yards deep in the end zone. Low pass from center, but he gets it away. Good high punt. Hayes at the 45 drops it. It bounced right back into his hands. And he gets to the 43, no further. Down quickly was Dave Dumars, but the Eskimos are back knocking at the door.
Surely they don't call that the Argo bounce still. Seems to me it hasn't bounced for them in a long time.
Well, since 52, they haven't won the Grey Cup. And it appears most unlikely that they'll win it this year. Well, the Eskimos struck quickly last time after recovering a fumble. Let's see what Warren Moon elects to do right now. Going for Waddell Smith, no good. Woodrow Wilson was there, and so too was Steve Jelly.
Jelly did a very fine job coming back into the play from his middle safety position, giving a little aid to Wilson and deflecting the pass. He was beaten on the touchdown, but he had tripped on this artificial turf, something that's easy enough to do, but came back with a big play there.
Moon has been good on 12 of 17 passes for 199 yards. That's his first incompletion of the second quarter. Jelly almost picked it out, then almost deflected it into Willie Hampton's arms, but there is a flag down on the play.
I'll tell you, I don't think the flag is for interference. Jelly made a great effort going for the ball, but it seemed to me he went through Marco Sincar in getting to the ball to cause that deflection.
Unnecessary roughness. Montreal, number 53. First down.
Well, Harold Randolph, the middle linebacker, has assessed a roughing penalty, and boy, that's a big one because it gives the Eskimos first down inside the Montreal 30-yard line.
There's a look at the effort by Jelly. Willie Hampton almost picked it off, but as you pointed out, a very costly penalty incurred by Harold Randolph, their middle linebacker.
This is Jim Germany. Germany gets to the 25-yard line. Glenn Weir was there to make the tackle for Montreal, along with Willie Hampton. The gain is 4. It is 2nd and 6. Eskimos at the Montreal 25.
In obvious passing situations, the Alouettes bringing in a 6th defensive back, and Wally Buono, the 10-year linebacker on the outside, is removed.
Joe Kuklo, number 22, goes in as that 6th back. Diving attempt by Marco Sincar, but he couldn't pull it in, and so it'll be 3rd down upcoming. Dave Cutler will try the field goal when we come back. It is 14-6. 2 minutes and 33 seconds left to play in the first half. Cutler's first field goal this afternoon. It is wide. So credit Cutler with a single point, and Montreal goes up by 9 now, 15-6. Alouettes have to consider themselves fortunate to get out of that.
Exactly what I was going to say, Pat. You give field position like that to the Eskimos, and you can almost count on them taking at least 3 with them.
You know, I hope this isn't misunderstood, but the Eskimos don't look as sharp as I've seen them look. Do you agree or disagree?
They don't seem to have the same fire in their eyes. They're the team that came out here expected to win, favored to win. They've got all the experience and everything behind them. The Alouettes, some great individuals, but still injuries and new people and trying to fit together.
Scott. Good job by Joe Holloman. I don't know if Scott got the first down. He's very close to it, but Holloman did a good job staying with him.
James Parker a little shaken up on that last play, slow to get to his feet. Here's a look at Scott. He's been working against Holloman throughout the afternoon. Curling back to the inside. Holloman respecting the dangerous receiver that he is. Trying to find an open spot, but he's covered well.
Second and about a yard to go for the first down. Full house backfield for the Alouettes. Skip Walker. Well, he fought for that first down, I'll tell you that, because he was met about a half yard beyond the line of scrimmage and dug his way in and appears to have the first down. Dan Kepley was there along with Dave Fennell. We looked at Ferragamo's statistics. He'd love to get a touchdown before this first half comes to an end. It's only the second Montreal first down of this quarter. They trail 15-6. They have the ball just outside their 45. Ferragamo throws. The catch is made again by Scott. And knocked out of bounds by Joe Holloman.
There's no secret about the fact that the Alouettes felt they could throw against Holloman short. Mind you, they haven't really tried to work against him deep. The one big play they had in the first half of this play was 65 yards to Scott against Holloman, but it was a short curl of about 12 to 15 yards, and then Scott was able to break it from there. But they're going consistently to Holloman and also working inside against McLeod.
2nd and 3. Billy Johnson inside the 35 to about the 33-yard line. Larry Highbaugh and Pete Labarato bring him down. 25 yards. The completion, Ferragamo to Billy Johnson.
Again hitting the seam. Mike McLeod, number 18. You saw him short. Highbaugh was deep on the outside. Labarato, of course, in the middle. Johnson, with that 7 years experience, coming in, hitting the seam, and Ferragamo hitting him on the break.
A minute 35 left to play in the first half. Edmonton 15, Montreal 6. First down, Montreal at the Edmonton 33-yard line. Short to Peter Delarriva, and Ed Jones forces him out at about the 23-yard line. Very close to another first down. They sent Scott deep and then just brought Delarriva toward the sideline, and he gets very close to 10 yards. Short yardage offense comes in now. That's Nick Araki. Chuck McMahon comes back into the ball game. Second and inches. Ferragamo keeps it, and I'll tell you, was he rocked. Did you see him get zapped?
I think it may have been Parker, number 40, that seemed to come over top. I'm not sure of the number.
I think it may have been Kepley.
Well, it was 40 or 42. I'll tell you, he paid the price, though, Pat. There's no doubt of that. There's Kepley, 42. Oh, did he meet him?
Well,
how do you do, Vince?
Did you see the quote in the paper this morning? Kepley said that he wanted to hit a millionaire. But the only place he'd be able to do that would be on a football field, and I'll tell you, he certainly got his money's worth on that occasion. It is first down, Montreal, at the Eskimo 21. Well, Johnson went to the sideline, and Ferragamo thought he was going to turn it upfield.
Wanted to hit a millionaire, huh? Isn't that something? I would have thought coming from Edmonton, he'd be used to millionaires.
Or might even be one himself. Anyway, the incompletion makes it 2nd and 10, Montreal. That's Ferragamo's first incompletion in his last 5 attempts. He's been good on 11 of 18 for 205 yards. Ferragamo for McMahon. He'll score the touchdown. Somebody blew the coverage.
Mike McLeod blitzed. Pete Laverato got drawn over to the defensive left. Highball was isolated on the right. McMahon was the inside receiver. Laverato ought to have picked him up, but got drawn to his defensive left, and that whole area was wide open.
Point after is good. Pretty fair ball game right now. 15-13, Edmonton leads.
What a read by Vince Ferragamo, number 18, blitzed. You see how Highball was taken up with James Scott. Laverato was way off to the other side, and there was a whole open area. From that picture, they looked fairly close together. In actual fact, McMahon was 10 yards from anybody.
Wow, that makes it a ball game now, Mike. The Alouettes coming back. They looked for a moment as though they had crumbled when they gave up the ball, or very nearly gave it up on their own 1-yard line. They weren't able to move it, punted away, and then when the Eskimos were only able to pick up a single point out of that, the Alouettes seemed to come to life again.
Well, throughout the first half, we've seen the excellence of their passing game. Ferragamo hitting those seam patterns, working to the outside. Their defense seems to be a little fired up, but at one point, eventually, the Edmonton pressure was starting to be too much for them, but you're obviously going to see a high-scoring offensive game from first quarter to fourth.
232 yards offense so far for Montreal, 224 for the Eskimos. Joe Holloman from his 8-yard line. Are fired up. Harold Randolph was down to make the stop at about the 22-yard line. 38 seconds left to play in the first half. Edmonton 15, Montreal 13. The right thing. He bobbled the pass from center, and rather than do anything fancy, he just made sure he picked it up. Glenn Weir dropped him, but Moon was just trying to get back to the line of scrimmage and very nearly made it.
Hasn't been sloppy football, Pat. Some of the mistakes we've seen, such as that miscue on the exchange and the fumble by Breesley earlier on a kickoff, that really comes from being a little over anxious, trying to run a 50 yards before you've actually got a hold of the ball firmly and so on. The teams are keen. They're playing well. You see it on the specialty units.
And that's it. Warren Moon just decides to ground the ball, and so we come to the end of the first half with the Eskimos out in front of the Alouettes 15-13. Scott was not ready when Ferragamo delivered the ball. And as a result, it goes as an incompletion. Joe Holloman was covering on the play.
Look at Warren Moon. He's been effective. Anytime you have 199 yards passing in one half, you know you're doing all right.
2 of them for touchdowns as Moon continues to warm up on the sidelines. It is 2nd and 10 Alouettes from their 40. For Iraqi, he takes the hit but hangs on for another first down. Pete Laverado was there to hit him immediately, but Iraqi showed you lots of courage even though he had been hit earlier in the ball game. He went high in the air, made the catch, good for 23 yards.
Again, it's coming back to the inside receiver, Pat, but more than anything, it's a big target, a well-thrown ball, and Iraqi using his body to shield the ball from the defensive men trying to get at it and trying to blow it away.
First down, Montreal, the ball at the Edmonton 47-yard line. Skip Walker runs right into Tom Towns as he crossed the 45 to about the 44-yard line. He'll have a gain of 3 yards maybe.
I think we have to comment that Doug Payton and Bill Norton are back in the offensive line for the Alouettes after being out last week, and certainly their return from injury has helped the Owls because Ferragamo, who's had to release fairly quickly, has nonetheless had pretty good protection throughout the game and has not been sacked to this point.
Was overthrown, and Montreal will be booting.
A lot of people in that area. Say one thing, Vince Ferragamo does not mind throwing into a crowd. Laverado, McLeod, Highbaugh were all around James Scott. But Ferragamo has the confidence that he can drop it in to where it has to be. At times, he's had problems with it, though. Interceptions in the past have presented difficulties to the Alouettes.
Rieta and Hayes back to receive Jerry McGrath's punt. Oh, this is a beauty. Hayes, 5 yards deep in the end zone, concedes the single point. And now it's a 15-14 ball game. Eskimos out in front of the Alouettes. We'll be back in town. This is Sinkar. And he gets the first down for the Eskimos. Warren Moon had been in trouble, but he spotted Sinkar, unloaded to him. And he gets the first down after being knocked out of bounds by Carl Brazeley.
Pat, if I can butt in for a moment, Angelo Santucci is not in the lineup. He has suffered a bit of a bruised rib, so they're taking no chances on it. He is dressing. He will not play the second half, and they will x-ray him when they get home to Edmonton, although they do not think it is overly serious.
Thank you, Bill. First down, Eskimos, the ball at their 48-yard line. Kelly makes the diving catch, and then his touch to make sure that he stays down by Maurice Burton. He'll have a gain of somewhere around 9 yards.
Pat, Junior IU is currently out of the lineup as we take another look at the pattern by Kelly. He is out of the lineup at number 68. Chris Walby has moved to defensive tackle. Doug Scott has moved out to the defensive end. Whether or not they feel they want to give some of those linemen a bit of a breather on this hot, muggy afternoon, or whether it's injury, I don't know. Right now, IU is simply having his ankle taped on the bench.
Second and a yard to go for the first down, Eskimos. There was movement. The ball was given to Germany. And Chris Walby was the man that Mike had just mentioned, and he shot in offside.
IU now back into the game, and Walby out. May have been simply a repair to the tape on his ankle.
Well, there was a procedure call against the Eskimos, so Walby had been drawn offside. And that's a big play because Edmonton had picked up the first down, but now it'll be 2nd and 6.
The kind of mental mistake that Coach Hugh Campbell drills his team on. Edmonton, not a club that typically finds themselves in that situation. Now it appears offsetting penalties, Pat. The first indication was illegal motion. Also, they have called the Alouettes offside. So it'll be 2nd down and short yardage again.
And getting the first down is Jim Germany as he crosses the Montreal 50 into the 48. Wally Buono, number 39, made the hit. So Scott and Sincar come back out onto the field. It is first down, Eskimos, leading it by a point, 15-14 with 9 minutes, 40 seconds left to play in this third quarter. Well, Sincar felt that he was interfered with by Carl Brazeley, but no flag comes down.
I'll tell you, that's pretty good coverage. A little hook by Sincar. The pass delivered right on the break, but Brazeley right with him all the way. Here's another look at it. He's right on top of it. Some may say too much so, and it should have been interference, I suppose.
2nd and 10, Eskimos from the Montreal 48-yard line. Smith. The ball was right in his hands, and he dropped it. Waddell won't do that very often.
We're out against Joe Kuklo. Hugh Campbell knows how it feels. He didn't drop too many, mind you, but he knows that Waddell Smith ought to have had that. That in a game that's very tight with the Alouettes, they need them. They can't allow those kind of opportunities to slip through their fingers.
Kalisic will be punting to either Dave Dumars or Carl Brazeley. Brazeley stands just inside the Montreal goal area. There he is. Takes it at the 5-yard line. And is forced out as he gets to about the 12 by number 28, Gary Hayes. Just like to remind everybody that this program is copyright and is strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction in whole or in part without the express written consent of the CTV television network is strictly prohibited. Well, this is a big series of downs coming up for Montreal right now, Mike. They're pinned deep in a hole, and this is normally where the Eskimos can start to take over the ball game. If they can contain Montreal here, the Alouettes are in trouble. Larry Highbaugh makes the tackle, but not before Johnson gets out over the 30 to about the 32-yard line. Good pass by Ferragamo, good catch by White Shoes, and the 20-yard gain gives the Alouettes some breathing room.
They really haven't worked against Larry Highbaugh all afternoon. They favored the other side, as we mentioned before, but there's no question that Highbaugh was laying well off the outside receiver Johnson.
Crowd, which gave the Alouettes a big ovation when they left the field at halftime, are now starting to get in this ball game again. Alouettes trail by a point, 15-14. Skip Walker. Dave David Boone was there, number 64, to make the stop. And Walker may have gained a yard, not much more. There's the man that we were talking about earlier, Mike, in our hotel room, Hector Poitier.
Hector Poitier having an outstanding year with the Eskimos. Their left offensive tackle in his 4th year for McGill. Coach Cal Murphy didn't hesitate when I asked him, Coach, who's been having the best start for you within that 5-man unit? That's the chap right there.
The pass was behind James Scott. And so it brings the punting unit out onto the field. I had suggested that was a critical series of downs. Let's see what happens now.
You know, I think they moved out of the shadow of their goalpost, Pat. They got at least that 1 first down, and I think your point was well made in terms of being caught down in around their own 15-yard line. But if they get a good punt from McGrath, they're still in reasonably good position.
This is Frayetta at his 42. Woodrow Wilson was there to make the tackle as Frayetta got to about the 45-yard line. A 35-yard punt by McGrath on that occasion. And the Eskimos take over in pretty favorable position at their own 45 with 6 minutes and 29 seconds left to play in the 3rd quarter.
I just wouldn't want to say at any point in time that a club has taken over, because with the ebb and flow of this game, the Eskimos seem to take charge. Alouettes come back valiantly, and it seems to me it's still very much up for grabs.
Moon again had trouble with the pass from center. Not trouble enough that he wasn't able to find Marco Sincar for a big first down into Montreal territory. Edmonton 15, Montreal 14. We'll be back in just a moment. 11 points a game. The CFL has really gone offensive. Pass was behind Sincar on that occasion. So it brings up a 2nd and 10 for the Eskimos at the Montreal 48. The coverage being provided by Carl Braisley.
Had a bit of an edge against Braisley, as once again he was trying to curl to that inside, but if the ball wasn't delivered perfectly, Braisley was close enough to help out, and he did.
Brian Kelly has caught 5 passes for the Eskimos for 75 yards and 1 touchdown. Tommy Scott has 4 for 89 and also has a major score. The 3rd time this ball game that Warren Moon has had trouble with the exchange from his center.
Ted Million taken over from the retired Bob Howes. He's got 4 years experience. Cal Murphy said he's been doing extremely well, had a good year to this point in time, but there's no question that if he suffers anything, it's the experience of Bob Howes.
Far be it from me to second-guess Hugh Campbell. I would have Tom Wilkinson in the ball game, because Warren Moon, as outstanding a quarterback as he is, simply does not look as sharp as I've seen him.
Yeah, but Pat, he had 199 yards passing in 2 quarters, and that's awfully tough to beat. Right now, I agree with you. In his 3rd quarter, he hasn't looked really sharp. But
well, Hank Olisic put one into orbit, and Carl Braisley wisely conceded the single point. It was a 60-yard boot. Well, that's the score now, 16-14, with the Eskimos out in front. And don't forget that we'll have all the action of the Canadian Open Golf Championships for you this Saturday and Sunday on CTV. The greatest names in golf in one of the most prestigious golf tournaments anywhere in the world. Watch for it here on CTV. Ferragamo for De La Riva. A flag comes down. Interference will be the call on Ed Jones. They got their legs tangled up. De La Riva went down, and the flag came down instantly.
Here's the call.
Pass interference. Edmonton. First down.
Pat, I don't think there's any question that it was inadvertent. That Jones did not intend to interfere, but equally so, the contact was made before the ball was there. You'll see it right there. Jones going up for the ball, got his legs tangled up, caused Del Riva to go down.
Second pass interference call against the Eskimos this afternoon. It gives Montreal first down at the Edmonton 53.5. Johnson, with great concentration, was able to make the catch, took a hit, spun off, and gives Montreal another big first down. Pete Laverado made the final stop.
I'll tell you, Pat, that's excellent work between the quarterback and the receiver. Ferragamo knows that Johnson's going to have to come back to the ball to elude the coverage, and Johnson is smart enough to read it that way, watch him break free of his coverage, and come back in here in front of McLeod. Great play by the receiver.
First down, Alouettes at the Edmonton 36-yard line. Pass is incomplete, looking for Skip Walker. Tom Towns providing the defensive coverage. Second and 10, Alouettes. They trailed by 2 points, 16-14, with 3 minutes, 26 seconds left to play in this third quarter.
Pat, if I may interject for a moment, I was talking to Warren Moon, re the problems in the snap from center. He said his hands are continually wet. It's like a sauna down here. As a result, the ball is completely slippery, too, and he says it's just like a greased pig you're trying to hang on to.
End around play. Walker couldn't get to the outside. Dale Potter makes the tackle finally. And after all of that dipsy-doodling, the Alouettes end up losing a few yards.
I'll tell you, it is a great individual effort by Walker, and you really see his balance illustrated. Fennell right there. David Boone. Look at the balance as he has to jump over and regain his feet. Dan Kepley tries to get a shot. Can't. Dale Potter finally puts him down. Skip Walker doing a fine job filling in for David Overstreet this afternoon. Vince Ferragamo would like to have been able to pick up 7 points. McGrath will try for 3.
If he gets them, and he's been good on 2, the Alouettes go into the lead. It is good. Well, Jerry McGrath had problems earlier, but he's kicked 3 field goals today, and the Alouettes lead it 17-16, and we'll be back in just a moment. Left to play in the third quarter. Edmonton with the ball at their own 35. Jim Germany, not much room on the right side. Keith Gary was there. Carl Braisley filled in, and so was your pal Doug Scott, who's playing well once again, Michael.
Again, Cal Murphy in our conversation said that Doug Scott, to his way of thinking, and in fact the coaching staff's thinking, and the Edmonton Eskimos, one of the finest defensive tackles, an All-American from Boise State. His home is Montreal, and he's returned here and is outstanding in just his second year.
Second and 8. Brian Kelly has the first down. Forced out by Woodrow Wilson, but he's into Montreal territory at their 49-yard line, a gain of 25 yards. Howdy Doody, as they call him, has another 100-yard gain, his 6th reception for a total of 100 yards.
A lot of time to Warren Moon. He goes all the way across field. Sometimes can be a dangerous pass, but everybody else was deep, and Wilson was giving a lot of room to Kelly.
First down, Eskimos at the 49-yard line. And puts it up for Kelly. He makes the catch. A flag comes down. There would have been interference anyway. Now, wait a minute. They're calling Kelly, I believe, for pushing off. Maurice Burton was providing the defensive coverage.
I'll tell you, I was going to say what a great individual effort by Kelly. I didn't see the push-off personally. Hugh Campbell is talking to Cal Murphy and is asking Cal to check with the roof to see if it's a good call or not.
I don't think it was a good call, but let's watch.
I don't know if there was contact there or not. It's hard to say. I didn't see it originally. I didn't see it there. Cal Murphy and Hugh Campbell are quiet types anyway. They don't necessarily storm up and down the sideline. Joe Scannella breathing a little easier with that penalty.
So instead of first down deep in Montreal territory, it's 1st and 20 back at the Eskimo 51-yard line. Doug Scott and Glenn Weir. Sack of Warren Moon this afternoon.
That the Alouettes do not have this game locked up, but we mentioned at the outset that if they were going to win the game, they had to have a big performance out of their front four, and we've seen Warren Moon sacked several times in the course of 3 quarters of play. Ferragamo has not been sacked yet.
The Alouettes doing a big job defensively as the Eskimos put the ball into play from their 42-yard line. They've got to get to the Montreal 39 for a first down. Jim Germany. Germany took quite a hit. And he gets to the Edmonton 50-yard line, but Maurice Burton and Dave Dumars sandwiched him at that point, and Edmonton will be punting.
Watch the work by Dave Dumars, 14. He initially has outside containment right here, is picked up. I think it's by Upton. Stumbles, comes back, and eventually gets into the play. It was number 7 who actually hit him, Burton, in the front, but it was Dumars coming from behind.
Well, at the end of the 3rd quarter, Montreal out in front of Edmonton, 17-16. We'll return with the 4th quarter in a moment.
Well, there's no question about it that as between Moon and Wilkinson, there's little to choose. Wilkinson, one thing that he's got in spades is experience and intelligence. He might be able to go in there a little more coolly than Moon right now, who's felt some of that Alouette pressure. And he may be the beginning of an Edmonton explosion. But for the time being, Ferragamo feels he's got a little bit more to accomplish.
First down, Alouettes at their 11-yard line. Ferragamo threw behind the intended receiver, Chuck McMahon. McMahon had not turned to look for the ball, and it was already on its way.
There may have been a bit of a deflection here, Pat. Let's see if we can pick it up. There's Estate 55. Parker 40 may have just gotten his hand on it.
2nd and 10, Montreal from the 11. Their own. We're just underway in the 4th quarter. The Alouettes clinging to a 1-point lead. Over the head of Skip Walker.
I'll tell you, they talk about it being a game of inches. It was about a 1/4 of an inch there. They had McMahon and Johnson taking the inside safety and cornerback respectively. As we look at Cal Murphy now speaking with Warren Moon on the sideline and Brian Kelly. They isolated then Walker on the linebacker, but he just couldn't reach it.
Well, Moon picks the helmet up, so obviously he's going to come back into the game. Following this Montreal punt as Jerry McGrath stands 5 yards deep in his end zone. Gets the ball into the Montreal 46-yard line. A 52-yard punt by McGrath. A real pressure type situation, and he came through for them. And a 15-yard return by Frietta.
Pat, your championship teams are always best in the 4th quarter, and that's what the Eskimos have been. They're known for their strength in this particular period, and they started off with excellent field position. An Alouette now down on the field. I can't get his number.
As Bill Stevenson has pointed out a number of times, the humidity is just intense down at that field level. Mike Hamiluk is the injured Montreal Alouette, number 44, their offensive center. Young fellow who played junior football for the Ottawa Sooners and came into Montreal, played in the offensive line last year as a tackle, I believe, wasn't it, Mike?
Yeah, he's played a little bit on the other spots, but this year doing a fine job at center. He's in his 3rd year now and has really matured pretty quickly. 6'4", 260 pounds, and he and Mangold and Norton have been doing a respectable job against the likes of Ron Estee and Dave Fennell this afternoon.
First down, Eskimos from the Montreal 46. They trail by a point. Warren Moon at quarterback. I'll tell you, that's one of the great plays that I've seen this year by Keith Gary. He was blocked at the line of scrimmage and yet still was able to maintain his balance and come and trip up the Edmonton quarterback, who does end up gaining 5 yards. But
when you ask for it, Patrick, we'll deliver it. Here's Warren Moon, number 1. Watch for number 75, Gary. The big man come back into pursuit. He's 6'3", 255 pounds, and he just chased down a much smaller man at 200.
Gain was 5 yards. It is 2nd and 5. Wide open was Tommy Scott. And Scott is down to the 21-yard line. Steve Jelly, number 27, was there to make the tackle for the Alouettes, but the Eskimos, trailing by a point, are on the move.
They have so many dangerous receivers. Scott, one of the most dangerous, a little hook in front of Dave Dumars. He couldn't make the tackle, and Scott stretches it to about the 22.
Gain of 19 yards. First down, Eskimos. 11:40 left to play in the ball game. Edmonton trails by a point. And did they rule it a reception? No. They say that no. Brian Kelly trapped it.
And Dave Dumars said, or excuse me, Maurice Burton said, you're right, it was trapped. Here's a look at Burton, number 7. They've worked against him a number of times. Brian Kelly now, you see how open he is. Well, it looked like he lost control. He had it initially, Pat, and then lost it momentarily. A good call by the official.
So Joe Kuklo comes in as the 6th defensive back. Guano comes out on 2nd and 10, Edmonton from the Montreal 22. Bobble the pass from center again. That's a direct result of the bobbling of the pass from center by Moon. Keith Gary is there for the 4th quarterback sack by the Alouettes this afternoon.
Well, watch him now. There's where you talk about, Pat, that hesitation. But I'll tell you, there's also quick penetration. Gary against Stevenson, Ayu against Poitier. An offensive line that has given excellent protection to its quarterback this afternoon, having real problems with the Alouette front 4.
Dave Cutler will try a field goal from 42 yards out. He tried from 32 and was wide earlier in the ball game. He has been good on 5 of 10 attempts this season. He's good this time, and the Eskimos are back out in front 19-17 with 10 minutes, 44 seconds left to play in the ball game, and will be
had it initially, let it get away from it, touch the ground, and waved off.
Well, you know, during the course of this season, the Eskimos have had 7 interceptions and 13 quarterback sacks. Montreal had none and 11. But that's just been reversed this afternoon. Ferragamo throws the ball over the head of James Scott and Joe Holloman, who is covering as we go to Bill Stevenson.
And Tommy Scott. Tommy, they seem to be giving you a lot of trouble out there, the Montreal defense. Are they doing anything different?
Well, 2nd and long and passing down for the double covering the inside receivers, not letting us get off the ball, and it's causing us a little problems, but we're going to adjust, and hopefully I'll be able to get another touchdown scoring for my wife's birthday today.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
That was a nice touchdown. Tell us about it earlier in the first half.
Well, it was just man coverage. We ran one earlier, and I ran a post flag, and this time we knew we can get him on a post, and I gave him the move to the flag, and he took it, and I was wide open for the post.
Well, let's hope number 2 comes your way.
I hope so soon.
Thank you, Tommy Scott. Pat?
Thank you, Bill. Jerry McGrath punting on 3rd and 10 for the Montreal Alouettes. Emilio Frietta gathers it in for the Eskimos and gets to the 50-yard line, and then a flag comes down. We'll probably have a roughing call against the Alouettes, and Mike, you thought there might have been a flag on the punt.
Boy, I'll tell you, oddly enough, it was Hank Alisic, number 8, rushing the punter, McGrath, and it appeared to me that he definitely made contact with him. I don't think this is a Hollywood dive. Let's take a look. There's Alisic. Now, they may feel that McMahon bumped him into the kicker, and that's why no flag. Because that could have been so, having looked at it again.
Well, there was no flag on that particular play, but there was a roughing call against the Montreal Alouettes, and it gives Edmonton first down at the Montreal 45-yard line.
Well, McMahon did give him some bit of a shove.
Listen to the crowd. They're not too happy. Flag comes down. Moon goes to Kelly, and he couldn't hang on, but we may have a holding call against the Edmonton Eskimos.
I'll tell you, that was a great pass by Moon under considerable pressure, because even with the holding, should that be the call, there was a lot of pressure on him. Kelly couldn't squeeze.
Holding, Edmonton 62.
Number 62, Bill Stevenson, who's had an afternoon with Keith Gary. You've talked about him, Pat. A big afternoon. Stevenson was off to your right, but here it is to Kelly. Would have been a great catch, but the kind that Brian Kelly normally comes up with, however, would be academic in light of the flag.
So it is first down repeated, but with 20 yards to go now, right from midfield. Showed you his athletic ability, didn't he? Warren Moon sidestepping people, running like a halfback, gets into about the Montreal 37-yard line for a gain of 17 yards before Joe Kupro was there to make the stop.
Well, they were on him again pretty quickly with the penetration. He has to get out of the pocket. Doug Scott can't catch up. It's just speed at that point as he eludes a couple of would-be tacklers.
And so now it's 2nd and 3 after that 17-yard romp by Moon. Pass is complete to Marco Sincar, who drops the ball. Now, what are they going to rule this? They rule a catch and that he was wrapped up, and Edmonton will have a first down.
Well, it might be worth another look. Joe Scannella isn't all that pleased. Warren Moon needed 3 yards. Well, I don't know, Pat. Certainly, they would have awarded him the progress that he had made to about the 38-yard line. So as he drags him after that, I don't know, tough judgment call.
And in the judgment of the officials, it's a first down. Edmonton at the Montreal 33. Listen to the crowd. They saw it on the big screen. Brian Kelly took the hit but made the catch at the 20-yard line. The hit by Steve Jelly, number 27. It's another first down, Eskimos.
I'll tell you, there's some good football in this play. Watch Brian Kelly now come underneath the secondary, but Jelly react up with a tremendous hit. But Kelly holds on, as a great receiver will.
It is Edmonton 19, Montreal 17. 7 minutes left to play in the ball game. The Eskimos on the move. Moon throws, touchdown, Edmonton. Tommy Scott, he said he wanted to get the second one because it's his wife's birthday. Happy birthday, Mrs. Scott, and there's number 2 for you.
And I'll I'll tell you, Warren Moon has had moments where he hasn't felt all that great because he's had problems with taking the ball from center. But he did extremely well, saving this drive with a 17-yard romp and some very good passing. But what a route by Tommy Scott as he got away from everybody. We'll see if we can take a little look at the route itself after we see Dave Cutler try for the extra point.
His point is good, and the Eskimos are out in front 26-17 with 6:40 left to play.
That's 26-17 in favor of Edmonton.
Tommy Scott, second touchdown of the ball game, has given Edmonton that 26-17 lead. We'll be back in just a moment. 121 yards, 2 touchdowns for Scott as Brazeley starts 2 yards deep in his end zone. Flag comes down as Brazeley gets to the 30-yard line. Probably, well, it's a rough play penalty against Montreal. Marco Sincar made the tackle. As you look at Warren Moon, you know, there's always a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. Mike, it must be doubly so when you're with a great team and you're expected to always look so impressive.
First down.
I think your point is well made, Pat. The only thing that should give Warren Moon a little comfort is the fact that he knows he doesn't have to do it all himself. He's surrounded by many fine athletes, and most particularly in the person of Tom Wilkinson. He has a very adequate replacement should it be necessary to change.
Tom Towns is the injured Edmonton Eskimo. And what a great career he's had. Dale Potter and Tom Towns. The Eskimos were blessed with 2 outstanding Canadian linebackers. And they have both been instrumental in the great success that the Eskimos have enjoyed over the years. Incidentally, Warren Moon today has been good on 21 passes in 31 attempts for 330 yards and 3 touchdowns.
I'll tell you, when you start talking about the Carling O'Keefe Sports Game Stars, you have to think about the quarterbacks on both sides. We don't know what the outcome is going to be, and it's really going to be a shooting match to the end of the 4th quarter, and whichever quarterback comes up with a win could be it, because I don't know that I've seen an aerial display by 2 teams in one contest like we have this afternoon.
Bill Manchuk, the former great Saskatchewan Rough Rider, who's now with the Eskimos, comes in to replace Tom Towns. As Vince Ferragamo starts from his 15-yard line, and he trails by 9 points. Looking for James Scott over his head and over the head of Joe Holloman.
We're seeing the corners getting a little more help with from the inside safeties now, in effect giving double coverage to Scott on that outside. Nobody else was in the pattern to hold Ed Jones. And when you've got one receiver trying to work free against Holloman and Jones, you've got a pretty tough task.
Ferragamo's last 6 passes have been incomplete. He came into the ball game with a 53% completion record, and he is sacked for the first time. Ron Este was first man through there. He gets the Montreal quarterback for the first sack as we go to Bill Stevenson.
And Warren Moon. Warren, you've been throwing touchdown passes, but you're not too happy with your throwing.
No, I'm not throwing with that authority I usually have on my balls, and I don't know what's causing it. You know, it's a little moisture out here because it's humid, but that's not enough to keep the zip off the balls that I usually have. And if I could throw the ball with a little more authority, my receivers would get it a little earlier and be able to turn up and make some yards out of it. So I have to do something this next drive and get us on the board.
Okay, thank you, Warren.
Thank you, Bill.
Well, let's just update his passing statistics. He has been good on 21 of 31 for 330 yards and those 3 touchdowns.
Imagine if he had the zip on the ball.
Rath gets the boot away, and this is Hayes from the Montreal 47. Well, he had no place to go. The Montreal specialty team was down quickly. Lou Claire, making his first start for the Alouettes, number 35, was there to make the first contact downfield, and so the Eskimos start once again in very favorable field position as Huey Campbell and Cal Murphy talk it over on the sidelines. And I'd like to thank spotter Bill Marsden for his usual great job this afternoon. And we can't mention Bill's name without start saying what a good job Bobby Layden and Ron Andrews have done statistically for us. The attendance, 45,835. Moon throws, and it hops once in front of the intended receiver, Tom Scott, so it goes as an incompletion.
I was going to say, when we saw Cal Murphy and Hugh Campbell on the sidelines, they might be discussing with the 9-point bulge. And at the Alouette 45-yard line with just over 5 minutes remaining, do we start to play protective football or do we go after it? As you take a look at the scoreboard reflecting today's attendance, obviously they're not going to play conservatively, Pat. They're quite content to go to the air, and they'd love to get at least 3 out of this one.
It is 2nd and 10. Eskimos at the Montreal 45.
Pressure on the Alouette linebackers.
Moon going deep for Waddell Smith. Touchdown, Edmonton. In behind Woodrow Wilson. The 4th touchdown pass by that man, Warren Moon. The 1st touchdown reception for Waddell Smith. And the Eskimos now pull out in front by 15 points.
They are just so powerful. Eventually they come back and they're going to beat you. Woodrow Wilson made a big play in the first quarter with his interception in the end zone that stopped the Eskimos on an impressive opening attack. They stayed away from him for most of the game, but came back this time with Waddell Smith. You saw him at least a step and a half in front of Wilson, and an excellently thrown ball by Warren Moon.
Well, you know, we talk so often about how great this Eskimo club is. They were trailing 17-16 heading into this 4th quarter, and now they lead it 33-17.
Well, the point was made about championship clubs always being strong in the 4th, and that's exactly what the Eskimos have shown.
Didn't take them long. They had 1 incompletion, and then the 45-yard strike from Moon to Smith.
Could be the Panasonic play of the game, in the sense, Pat, that this has been a seesaw struggle, and anything could happen in 4.5 minutes. But it appears that with that play, the Eskimos may have taken a commanding lead.
Well, you can say may. I'll say that they've won this football game. 4 minutes, 37 seconds left to play. Edmonton 33, Montreal 17, as the Eskimos explode here in the 4th quarter for 17 unanswered points. Carl Brazeley is back along with Skip Walker. And there is Dave Cutler. Walker from his 8-yard line. Gets out to about the 26, no further. Marco Sincar is down to make the stop.
Did you realize that 2 8-point touchdowns will tie the game?
Well, as you said, it may happen. Warren Moon, I don't think, would agree with you.
Warren seems to be concerned.
Yeah, he'd really be worried about now, I would think. 4 touchdown passes this afternoon. And again, congratulations to Tom Clements and his Hamilton Ticats, and also to Joe Powpow and his BC Lions. Both big winners yesterday. Ferragamo threw, and hit instantly was James Scott, who right about now is looking for his head because Joe Holloman unloaded on him.
How do you do, James?
I guarantee you James was never hit that hard while he was with the Chicago Bears.
Or by his mother or father, for that matter. I'll tell you, that was a hit.
He managed to hang on to the ball despite the fact that he lost a yard. It brings up 2nd and 11 for the Alouettes from their 24. Peter Della Riva makes the catch, but Ed Jones was there right away, and the Alouettes will be forced to punt.
I'll tell you, Ed Jones has had a great game, Pat. They really haven't worked inside against him at all. He's been a very steadying influence. He's supported well in the run. He's taken away the short pass when they tried to come to his side. Peter Della Riva would like to have come up with a big one. He's done it many times in the past, but Jones was there to haul him down.
It's funny, speaking with Peter prior to the ball game, I said, what do you think about the club? He said, we've got great talent. And we're going to be a good football team, but we're not as disciplined as we should be yet. But we will get there. And they played 3 very solid quarters of football this afternoon. Good punt by McGrath. Frietta's back at his 26, drops the ball. Hayes recovers it. So the Eskimos will maintain possession as Dave Dumars was down quickly to cover Hayes. It is Edmonton 33, Montreal 17. We'll be back in just a moment. 55. Jim Germany drops the ball, and the Eskimos recover. There to cover it is number 62, Bill Stevenson.
I'll tell you, that's what the Alouettes are hoping for. It's about the only thing that they can look to, Pat, is a very dramatic turnaround deep in the Eskimo end right now. They get that fumble or interception, they'll be able to score in a hurry, but that's the kind of desperate circumstance that they require.
2 minutes, 30 seconds left to play in the ball game. Second down, 7 yards to go. Edmonton from their 28-yard line. This is Germany. Not get the first down. And let me just clarify a statistic that I gave a few moments ago. Edmonton is averaging 476 yards a game offensively this season, but today they have gained 375. Montreal is averaging 355 yards a game. Today they have gained 326. So Montreal is very close to what they've averaged throughout the course of the season. The Eskimos are 100 yards short. Nevertheless, they've scored 33 points. Clock is running down to 2 minutes left to play as Alyssa boots. And Brazeley awaits at his 28. With a good return, Carl Brazeley gives Montreal possession at their 43-yard line. It was a 53-yard boot and a 15-yard return. And this should be the last kick at the cat for the Alouettes. Carl Brazeley walking off the field. Huey Campbell talking things over with Coach Don Matthews. And he has been just a super leader of that vaunted Edmonton defense. Don Matthews is obviously headed for big things in the coaching ranks. And Joe Scannella, he still knows that he's going to get things together, but he's hoping it's sooner rather than later. Passes over the head of the intended receiver, Nick Araki. And where in the third quarter they were cheering Vince Ferragamo, there were a few boos on that play. 1:47 left to play, and the clock is stopped. Let's go to Bill Stevenson.
All right, why not with Brian Kelly, a fellow who always has himself some great ball games. But out there today, it was much tougher than you anticipated, or many Edmonton supporters anticipated, Brian.
Yeah, they're a very good team, as everyone knows, and it's been a real hard game. And if Warren, has come on the second half to really lead us out of the doldrums, which we've been in for a while.
This is James Scott. And Scott gives Montreal a much-needed first down as he carries it in to the Edmonton 47-yard line before Tom Towns makes the tackle. The Alouettes in their hurry-up offense now. 1:39 left to play in the ball game. Dave Fennell takes his time getting back to the line of scrimmage. Ferragamo to Skip Walker, and Walker is wrapped up immediately by Tom Towns after he'd gained maybe a couple of yards, not much more.
They have to get up field a little more quickly than that, Pat, if they want to capitalize.
Their first down, incidentally, of this fourth quarter. Ferragamo throws for Scott, but the pass wasn't anywhere near him.
Hey, he was open, too. He's in behind Ed Jones.
David Boone, number 64, and number 61, Doug Payton, were having words. With the incompletion, the clock has stopped with 1:24 left to play in the ball game, and Montreal will go for it on 3rd and 8. Eskimos leading by 16 points, 33-17. They trailed coming into the 4th quarter, 17-16. Ferragamo to Walker, a screen pass that was read beautifully by the Eskimos, who will take over on downs. Larry Highbaugh was there to make the stop for Edmonton. And the Eskimos, with just a minute 18 left to play, take over at their 45-yard line. Well, it's disappointing for this big crowd of 45,835, but they saw a whale of a ball game for 3 quarters. And when you can stay with the Eskimos for that long a period, you know that you've got the makings of a pretty good ball club.
They have all the excitement in this Alouette team that they could ever hope to see. They don't yet have a healthy football team. They don't yet have a football team that is mature with the experience of working together. All of the ingredients that the Eskimos have, but when they have Vince Ferragamo and the core of receivers that he does, and the offensive line capable of giving him the protection they gave him today, you know they're going to be a factor.
On the draw, this is Sean Keogh, and Keogh is wrapped up back at the line of scrimmage by Glenn Weir. Clock will start the moment the referee Blair Shallow whistles time in. And he does that now. 2 touchdowns by Tommy Scott, 1 each by Brian Kelly and Waddell Smith. Warren Moon has thrown those 4 touchdown passes as we are down to the final minute of the game. Toss goes to Keogh. He tries to get outside, but it was neatly cut off on the corner by Dave Dumars, number 14. And so Hank Olisic and the punting unit comes out as Joe Scannella stands on the sidelines. He is optimistic, despite the fact many are not. Many point to their defensive secondary as being the most vulnerable part of this ball club. Scannella is aware of that. He knows he has problems on the corner with Maurice Burton and also with Woodrow Wilson, but he hopes to rectify those soon. Punt by Olisic, and he actually boots it out of bounds despite the fact that Braisley made the catch. It was out at the 19-yard line with just 27 seconds left to play in this ball game.
Well, the score changed hands 4 times, Pat, before the Eskimos took command, that being in the 4th quarter. An indication as to what kind of a game you've seen. And I think generally it's been a very well played game, particularly when you take into account the very humid, muggy conditions under which all of these players have had to perform.
Well, we've got a couple of great games for you next week. BC and Calgary. At Calgary, that should be a real barn burner. And then here next Sunday, the Saskatchewan Roughriders will play the Alouettes. Ferragamo throws. It is picked off by Pete Laverato. Laverato is forced out of bounds at the 10-yard line with 15 seconds showing on the clock.
You know, Pat, you mentioned that game next week, Saskatchewan and the Alouettes. The Rough Riders from the West had a tough defeat at the hands of the Stampeders a couple of nights ago, but I'll tell you, they're a young club that's really coming along and has impressed me early in this season as we watched Laverato with that play.
Well, we were out there when they lost to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the final seconds of that ball game, and they played very well, and we know how good the Bombers are. Saskatchewan is a club to be reckoned with, and boy, they have just outstanding fans. They were there in the pouring rain on Friday night, and I'm sure that Coach Ferragelli will have his club sky high when they come in here next Sunday, and we'll have that game for you. Germany gets to about the 8-yard line, and I don't imagine that the Eskimos will be disappointed if they don't punch this one in. They've won it 33-17 at least. And they may have time for 2 more plays. Not likely. This will be the final play, barring a penalty. Moon gives to Sean Keogh, and Keogh is stopped as the gun sounds to end a very entertaining football game that the Edmonton Eskimos win 33-17.